Peace in Islam. So we finished on the last one at the Four Kings, allegorical. Let me see sun cult, moon cult. Let me see turbans. Alright. We see Ohio, Mogador, Ohio. Now they create all these stories for these cities because these place names. And we see Morocco, Tripoli. Is now we see Mogador in that same area off the colony. We see Egypt, Memphis. We see Missouri. But we see us right here. You see what they say. They give you a story. But at the bottom, you see what they say. Robertson shouted 3 cheers for Mogador when he blasted his flask on the last beam of the construction, and hence they use the term Mogador. Same thing they say when they say from the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli. These are all ways that they ritualize taking your shit. The Moorish American. These are Moorish lands from pole to pole. But you see, Mogador is a lost city in Morocco. And we talk about Mogador in South America. It would make sense that those same Americans would have a Mogador up and down the continent, just like we got a Utica and a Carthage all over the place. These are all Moorish terms, and it's evidence of your state, your vast estate. So we'll look into that in this video. We'll continue with the same theme from the last video. And I know it sounds like that's a new video, but I break down this video in 3 different parts and put it together. I did this video in about 3 days. Alright, so let's continue. You see the radical members of South Carolina, legislator, lawmakers. You see stories about these brothers on Wikipedia and everywhere else as if they've been given more now, newly free from slavery, government seats, when the history show at the same time they've been terrorizing us out of government seats. So it gotta be one or the other. Well, I believe what we're going to show in our next series, even more you in the government, the farther we go back in the history of the United States. Showing you even a gradually disenfranchising. So you see the House of Representatives Private Claims Volume 1. You see Benjamin Banneker, Identity for Losses under the Choctaw Treaty. So if this man's supposed to have been like they do with everybody, African, Afro-American, right? Then while he get indemnity for losses making his claims using the Treaty of the Choctaw. And they also do this to people like Crispus Attucks. They say things like he been mixed with Native. They gonna say that about all us, that we, for some strange reason, mixed with some other people. But it's all to hide the Moorish Empire of the West. All Indian stories is used to hide Moorish because they dealing with international. They ain't dealing with local. They dealing with international. An Indian, again, is the Roman Spanish word they used to call Moors in America and in the East. No such people nationally exist. At the end of this, we're gonna begin the first look into the next series. That's just the truth about the origins of the United States of America. And in that, we're gonna get more into this and why all these other terms that we calling ourselves back then caused us to lose a lot. So again, lack of knowledge is the only enemy. A quick example is the term black, which mostly more and more people these days agreeing with in all walks of our lives. It's still being suppressed at the very top of entertainment for obvious purposes. You can't really get that to the masses without setting off a chain reaction. But even in the community right under that, the closest they got to been T.I., right? Talking about that at the so-called Black Summit. But in the level of the YouTube world and the social media world, the internet world, which we all participate in every walk of life. Don't act like these celebrities and these politicians they ain't seeing what we put it down on YouTube. They watching this shit. It's a form of media, but it's like underground media because it still ain't getting spread to the masses. But you ain't gonna see the view that's about to turn black. But we all know that it's an erroneous term. And it'll cause you to be a non-person, which causes declared vacancy. International law. So he been listed as white, people listed as Native American. His father and mother. But we can't find no pictures of them, but we know those were Moors. We see the stories calling them free black persons, free people of color, Indian, white. At the same time, what happened to these brothers? They lose their estate, they lose their inheritance when they lose their nationality as Moorish Americans. What kind of people do live in South America? The Spanish, the Portuguese, but chiefly the descendants of these European races who have intermarried with the Indians. Other nations have made lesser contributions. Brazil, which is only a few days by steamer from West Africa, is 1/3 Moorish. the crudest type in the hemisphere, and that's because that's where the head of the empire been at. So, to Europeans, to Romans, to Christians, to Spaniards, they will always look at that as barbarity, because Moors don't play, and especially those ones. Um, there was a strong mark of the Moor upon the Spaniard, and he's saying that because he coming from a certain mind frame. But according to our mind frame, what he really seeing is the Moorish Empire in the West. Spaniards didn't have to bring nothing. These Moors from here, us what Spain us. They've been over there and they've been set up. It's like they've been set up in West Africa. That's why he said the steamer is just a quick hop and a skip, because he realized that these people been going back and forth, have to be, how easy of a travel that is between West Africa and Brazil. The Arabic Moor wrought his customs very deeply into the life of Spain. And again, that's because the language and the script, we find it all over the West. So it had to come from what we call Arabia. It's an illusion. Basically the same Phoenician languages that they find in everywhere, and that script on both sides of the Atlantic became what we call Punic Moorish Latin, and the script being called Arabic script. We're going to see that later again. Just to show you things we assume to be foreign would be American. Hard to know because of all the reconstruction, but if you know that the world ain't ever been thought of as only a half of a world, then it should be plenty of things that came from the West in origin. Just like you got today's drone music all over the world, come from Chicago and America. Those things been happening since the beginning of our stay here. The people of Mexico and Cuba might be called Moorish Americans rather than Latin Americans. The customs, manners, and heart experience in these people of Latin America are more Moorish than Christian, more Muslim, more Arabic than Spanish. And that's what you see with his, according to his research in these subjects and what he visually seeing when he go to these places. I said Muslims from the Far East or from Africa come here and they'll see so many things, and they'll be able to realize that this is a western part of that Islamic presence in the world, which is Moorish. They could take a lot of things that the Moors did and associate it with Christianity or associate it with Rome or Spain or all the other thieves. But gotta get out of that way of thinking of these modern day ways that people speak. Now, nationality purposes, you see them say, more Moorish American than Latin American. The reason why Latin American would be an erroneous thing to call yourself, or Christian American, or Muslim American as a nationality, because we go by blood and land, not language and land. And the only group of people in Italy called the Latins, it'll just be too much to deal with. This group of people, you don't find nowhere as a sovereign nation, international nation, on no treaty ever. But you see more duly made as a group of people who is heirs to estates all over the world and law, just based off their blood inheritance. And America is the name of the land we own today. So Moorish American. The U.S. citizens, you citizens of the United States properly, are state citizens and citizens, national citizens. And those are Moors too. Because ain't nobody else properly identifying themselves. Under the constitutional form of government, they only say we the people, and they also only say, excuse me. They also say all men are created equal under God. Not all fictions or corporations. That's why foreign nationals is moving like first class citizens and blacks and whites second and third class citizens. Because they claiming their blood national origins. Kenyan American, Indian American would be some boy from other nation that we call India with a flag today in America. Now those terms ain't going to be affording them international powers that we would have on this land, right? Moorish Americans, being that this our land. But it'll afford them first class citizens under the Constitution of the United States of America the same footing in that jurisdiction that we all decide to be in. But the highest status in this on this United States of America colony is the Moorish Americans. And again, they call them different things. They about to be Indians. They about to be, and you can see now, look, they got cannons and shit. And they still get captivated into Rome. To show you that you gotta know you're in your own kingdom of heaven, divine. And that means mentally y'all together and no foreign influence. Get into that. And then when you got the inside kingdom of heaven together, then the outside will manifest. Together, our kingdoms of heavens is all over the place. You got some in Africa. You got some people who heart in America, but they don't know who they is historically, genetically, divinely, and those things. And then in many different things, you got a bunch of people who believe their nationality is their religion. You got some people believe their nationality is their club or their organization. So there's so much division, but on this channel, we always bring everything together. We talk about the Moorish Empire. So we got the Moorish Empire. We're in the West. Look how he dressed. If this, they're gonna show you this in your Indian stories too. Oh nah. Or he a European. Or he a trader. Which one? Or it's the Moorish Empire, and this man, he running shit. We read the story. Damn, just run that little island in Haiti. Moors in America doing their thing. Another version, dressed the same as me and man. Let me see. You got it. You got the umbrella thing too. You see, you got Romans and Greeks. You got Moors back there. Internationally, that's what these people name us because those treaties already exist amongst people. Changing it, that's when somebody trying to take over something. Now they start calling these people Saracens and pagans. And if they had believed that, they've been done. You same thing with Indians, our Native Americans, or any one of the other term. If a man name you, who we can point out that they name you, the same conqueror after the name, and they coming with the sword after that. I can tell you that now. They say Saracens and pagans because it was Moorish lands they was stealing. The Moors they could have tricked to be other than anything other than what the treaties been saying that Rome couldn't even come over here. Then it all fair game. United States when they get off the colony, they did the same thing. Jesuits that teach them. All you gotta do is change their name. The Moors up to Washington and everything off the colony. And in the South, Georgia, we can read all of that about that in the end. In the next series. Louisiana, all these Moorish nationals start being Indians, blacks, free people of color on paper, and now manifest destiny persists because now they declare vacant. Those people don't exist. Especially to Rome, they only know them and Rome and Moors on the planet. That's why they gonna say anything but that. It's Saracens, pagans, Indians, black or Moors, blacks, Negroes. They got like 100 different names that they put on their paper bowls to get around those old treaties that we bind them devil with. And they just hope that lack of knowledge persists. If they forget, then they can't conquer it. But it take how long? About 500 years for them to get to this point and still ain't really conquer nothing? Why? Because Moors here at all times. The next generation, when they leave after me, there gonna be people making videos like this, calling themselves Moors. Keep making sure, keeping Rome at bay. You ain't gonna never take everything because Moors here. Now everybody else ain't here. They get declared vacant. You see the Moorish American right there. You see we always got that little bag like the marabout. And we take that bag shit all the way back to the ancient time too. We hold that bag. But look how he dressed too. It's like with the long skirt, like Noble in that picture. And how the Egyptians and how the ancient Moors and the robes cut off like that with the high boots. Right? The same way like what we call the Indian. WC. And he got his horn too. Keep that demon going. And he got his musket too, like we see. Every time you see a Moor in a painting, they got a gun. See a man back there too, turban. That's a modern day depiction about the person know what he was doing. I'll tell you that. That's what we're talking about. It looked like a scissors on that little painting we see earlier. We see the red and white stripe tunas. We see this before on some paintings too. We definitely know those colors. Red, black, and green, right? All yellow. And the scissors again, Barbary. like a barbershop. You know, Mooncoat, Saleh. And then you see how that's spelled different. I think all the La Salles and La Salles all over the world, they try to make them like French and shit. The most speaking French, and the most who've been, we think it's the Empire of Haiti. Going all over the world, overseas empires and kingdoms. Lose your nationality, lose your states. World War One, two, three, four. Alright, there's what pirate, right? Algiers. We talk about the pirate. We talk about the pirates though. In the 1787 to 1769, that's around the time when the United States and Algiers at war. So they have to go over to modern day Algiers to deal with Algiers as a jurisdiction. And they've been all over the place, most from Algiers and everywhere. And not from modern day Algiers, they're from ancient Algiers in America. These scissors. You see Tunchi, same shit. Gold chain with the circle, look like you got a 5-pointed star. Dude. They got a robe and shit, turban and feather, like Global Draw Lee, you know. Let the people tell you about Noble Charlie. He more ancient in his ways and his words, and he more American than anything. And he before all us, 1920, saying this shit. Let's see, same type of dress, turban and feather. The same little plates and shit. That's one of the rawest ones, John. But man ain't dressed like the little Indians they talking about. Man look just like dressed just like Azim in England and Nottingham. All that shit probably been in the northeast. In reality, that story's supposed to happen over there in England. But Robin Hood and shit. He dressed just like Azim, and Azim tell you Mauritanian. That other Mauritanian right there. That's other more. And the main man who's standing right there would have write that on paper at his time. Because we ain't no ignorant Indians. Could have been writing in Spanish, English, French, all that shit, hundreds of years. You see the ships out there? You see the same things. Man, that's all white. Man, that turban. Got that roll hanging on one side. You see that all the time. This could be in America for all we know. They don't know. People play games. But it don't matter. That's why we say Moorish Americans, because we have the bloodline of people who call Moors. And we can prove to you that that's the most mightiest and numerous nation on the planet, and legally in law Just like the Pope put out papal bulls. What do you think we've been doing? Sitting there just ain't know how to read and write? Putting out all kind of stuff that we don't even understand. That the same way you believe that a bill passed in the Senate for Asians and protections for Asians, the same way you believe that work, you got that for yourself as Moors times 1,000. The rights that you can do is so much stuff that you can do. Your ancestors put in law for you that give you the right to do. That's what we call birthrights. That it'll look like racism. It'll look like black supremacy. It'll look unfair. It'll be unfair to other people because how long we not such an ignorance and let all that be in the mind of the multitude. It'll be like absurd. But the same way you see those bows getting passed for other so-called nations, those protection bows, those are stuff for them, and in the future, those stuff that they know how to do. Somebody know how to write up bows and get them passed through the Senate. You can do the same thing now for yourself. You just don't know how to do those things no more. As a black people or Indian. All that shit about the Indians with their nations and they Senate and they all that, how they set up the government, and it was just like how modern Europeans want to be. All that intelligence, they by giving them Indian stories, that's hiding the fact that these people been that advanced. Because in reality, they've been known as Moorish Americans, or Moors of America, or Americanos. Where they put them in the Indian stories, like the Mohawk story, now that's when you lose all that real shit. And you in a stupor, like you were just today, under the BIA and shit. Under the United States of America. That means that make you a Moorish subject, because they're Moorish subjects. But the multitude, you ain't gonna see that. You ain't gonna see Moors making them Joe Biden bow down to him in the White House. You ain't gonna see that because of how the world think today. Well, drag your ass out there. You try to even get close to the motherfucker, so you gotta be real, but that don't stop the reality of the situation in law. Same way right now that they write a constitution in 17, we write a constitution in 1787, and even to this day that shit still applied, right? You still can't violate that motherfucker. So words on a piece of paper did that, right? So we gotta understand the divine nature of this. So you see the Moors at the top, you got the Turks and the Tartars, and all these under Moorish hegemony, under the empire that is again on paper the reality, but a lot of these people now, they ain't even call themselves by the right thing, according to their old documents and treaties neither. Not just us, the whole world. The reason why Europe scrambled for Africa, because they start calling themselves things that ain't connected nothing to. Or we see different more, they showing us different more from different parts. And we can see all these same dress we showing you in America, that same type of button down like that. We see that a lot on Moors, and we see that a lot on Mexico. This right here we definitely see in South America and North America at that matter. That style right there. We still wear hoodies today because of the style. On our in the hood and stuff, we wear hoodies on our thing. That's where that come from. You already know we rock the feds over here. See, I got the red bands on them. Same little type of bands around their waist. She look like she in Brazil. You see everybody look like what we consider Roman, but we see that little button robe right there all over America on the Indians, quote unquote. Like this. What the United States looked like to Ottoman observers in 1803. In this map, the newly independent U.S. is labeled the country of the English people. And then if you look at this map, they only talk about the 13th, the eastern seaboard, with the European settlers and their governor of the penal colony, George Washington. But they talking about the whole government. They start saying the Iroquois Confederacy show up as well, labeled as the government of the Six Nations. So they had know about them Moors because they were doing business with them. The Ottoman Empire and the Moorish Americans. Other tribes show up as the Algonquin, the Chippewa, the Western Sioux. So you mean the Ottoman, they already had business with all these Moors. Cuu Garibi. Cu, and when I tell you Cu is like Suyu, Sultanate. And so you know Sioux is one of those probably those same type of words. And you see Suyu Sarki, that's where we get Cherokee from, Cherokee. And again, another term that just means a direction, eastern, at a point. And you took on that name as a tribe, erroneously. Ananawea is the name of that tribe. It being called Cherokee to mean the Easterners, but there was more internationally. Again, you be fooling yourself, you think you've been over here sitting in the damn TP for 700 million years, and then you meet new black people in 1492 from somewhere else on the planet, but they're in relations with you. So they call it the Black Pawnees, or the Carter Pawnees, which mean bread. And bread like Bethlehem. And White Pawnees, and the Ak Pawnees. And the Ottoman Empire, which at the time this map was drawn, included much of the Balkans, the Middle East, used as a version of Turkish language. You need to know the rest of that, but right here you see, looking from other point of views, you will see they know goddamn well the United States been just Washington D.C. and the governing of the European settlers on the colony. It was one form of government. The government that controlled that government, the national government, which is the Americans, the Al-Moroccans, the Moors, the different nations. None fall into the land of Nod. So what you think gonna do what Rome will do, Rome will take over like they do everywhere else. That Moors don't do right. When Moors don't do right, they open up for foreign invasion. So again, never point fingers. Always point at yourself. We point at ourselves all the time, and you got other people who will point at us too. So we gotta show them. We can point at them. 10-4. You get one. You point one, get 10 back. So we see this archaeological site over a 12,000 year period. They find human activity near in the Carolina area. But right here, they ain't gonna tell you what they find really. But right here they do. Leaving South America, Dr. Albert Goodyear, and this is his work, but you ain't gonna get all this. He said South Carolina University professors say humans live along the east bank of the Savannah River or the Sahara. Like they like to say, you come from the West African Sahara. That's any place off the colony in the south to the before you get to Texas. That's the Savannah or Sahara region. $50,000 years ago, the 51 1,700-year-old North American site found in Allendale County, South Carolina, by the Savannah River, is less than 30 miles from the Atlantic Ocean. Figures show Goodyear holding a flint worked by human hands at the 51,700-year level. The evidence from the ancient African migrations. So what they know is that these people been Moors. They don't know where they come from or how they get there. Now they just assuming that because of certain things come in multiple forms, skulls and skeletons. So they find it'll matter if they find these skulls in Antarctica, they're gonna say, oh, it's Africoid. Because they're going with the Darwin thing. And with the make everything Moorish African. Footprints in lava, campsites, genetic M174 and D haplogroups, linguistic paintings, carvings, architect, Egyptian writings, ancient empire of Egypt, artifacts and structures. And yeah, basically, they say, I see something I would say 20,000 years ago. They come over to Bering Strait. I see some say high as 36,000, but this one say 51,000. And talk about the findings a little bit more. They say between 60 80,000. Other early sites in Brazil and Chile, as well as a site in Oklahoma, also suggest that humans were in the Western Hemisphere as early as 30 to perhaps 60. All right. So they're trying to make them look. Their little migrational Darwin story get beat up every decade. Something come out to show that wrong. So we see the South Carolina one, the Louisiana one, even worse, and now about Moors and that thing. Today they give you a puppet version of this, known as the Black Caucus. You see young Moors. And again, you find these looking up so-called Blackamoor statues. Because if anybody know, they know at Phoenicia, know at Rome, where they make these things at, paint these pictures. You can see a lot of that on walls, paintings on walls at Rome, and all over Europe, and they all listed as Moors, but they want you to believe you anything but that. For some strange reason, you see them all on a donkey, like a Moabite. Always with that musket, right? And a cape, man. There's a little shit behind the waist. And you got that bag on the side, look like. And a flask. You got that hoodie over, that same little turban with the hoodie over. It's like the Moshe tribe in South America, pottery. You mean, man, been crusted as hell, and that long ass robe, red cape. And again, only your nobility. Now you can go find a lot of information. You can see yourself in Africa as nobility in history. They don't hide that a lot. They don't hide. They just hide everywhere outside of that place. That your nobility. You see what I'm saying? And people keeping themselves blind to that by making everything Afro this and Afro that. Instead of just these the most in that part of the world. Why they can't be in that part of the world? Now the horse got tassels, nigga. The long purple. And you know you get that purple from Guayaquil, where that purple been from, and that red. Now you see, now that's the same turban that with the feathers that the emblem of America Moorish woman had. So what make her different? She just in the Americas. He could be in America. He got the same turban. That they high knowledge it by magic, like you wouldn't expect us to be in America. You got the feathers and he ain't naked, but you don't know that motherfucker be from the same area you at, and they playing you, taking that shit from you. Cause I hear that my whole life that the Europeans are calling the script us from our history and our name. Now when they come back and they finding them and they saying, well, this is my seeing right here because this stuff they don't show nobody. Nobody don't want to show nobody, but it exists. So if we hidden either in a vault or in our face, we just ain't seeing them for what it is. And I take the latter. Recently I hear somebody talk about how they burn all our stuff and stuff. I don't want to hear that neither. You right here, you just ain't want to sit with us. Cause you got some idiot on YouTube disavow the term that brought you to this what you talking about, and that's more. Because when you see these right here, it give you that idea, oh, that's some more. So when you hear these idiots say erroneous statements about that, they're trying to put that in your psyche, remind you, they ain't gonna never sit there and give you detail of what they talking about that. If they want to disavow that, tell them, show you that in detail, like they put the little documentaries and their stuff together speaking about the Native American history, Black Indian shit. So tell them to show you the other side of that, the side that they keep making these little statements. Those signals, those things to put in your subconscious. So when you see stuff like this, automatically send you overseas. And then that's the back on it, musket, as usual. Now this way he look like he about to be a Negro. He about to get converted, take off the crown, which is simply the turban with the feather. We ain't seen nothing different yet. We almost in 3 hours in. Robe, the same little buttons that we see. We talking about some European stuff. This right here is interesting. Look like best, but we gonna see this again. The sandal look just like the moles in America that we see in those paintings. Look in the back. Look like the umbrella right there in the cut too. You got that same little Spanish thing. You can see he got his robe, red cape hanging down the side, one side. Earring in the ears, let's check. See? Earring, pearl. Yep. Or like the pirate earring, the gold loop. That's also a Moorish thing. Little Ho, the Winnebago Chief, Winnebago Chief. Look at his background now. And you know, they'll paint this in pen. And you will still look at, oh, that's some more. He got a cape, got the headband. But you know, we see Winnebago Chief, Little Ho. Did I say America? So showing you both and show you how it's the same thing. A type of Moroccan. He got the red, white stripe. That clean turban around that fez. He definitely a Moorish Moroccan. And he look like the same brother, but now we in America again. A Blackamoor, an Indian, a Dutch. 1700s. Red or white stripe. Moorish. You see that? Just like my man. Though it's supposed to be pearls in that. That's like my man right there. So where he going? They would even shop at the same international store. Right, maybe they part of an international empire. That makes sense. Because you see malls all over the world today. We got Mississippi tribe, which is Indians, but they dress like what? So I go through it again. Got the red sash hanging down, and on the pierce. We see got its own type of corridor, but nose rings. That shirt he got on, that definitely Moorish. You probably try to say that's Spanish. Let me see, they already got European women. So you worry about Nino bringing Columbus over here. Look at you right here. You still won't point fingers. you just like the Moors over there in North Africa. Look at your hair for the European woman. Yeah, I'm all gonna be a more no matter where he at. And look at the musket, same things. Axe, curved sword. Now you keep any waist like the Moors on the other side. Still for they foreign. They only foreign in their mind. They call themselves if they call themselves Indians. Yeah, now you foreign. You don't exist now. They try to make it look like he been an escaped slave. But all them boys dark skinned though. So you see how they play you, and he look like he got jewelry on and shit. Indian chief. Look like he got that robe hanging on one side. He got his axe. He got a nice little sash hanging down like a normal. Very intricately woven. The man right here too could have read and write in different languages, pen and paper. So you give him that fake story, then you taking that from him and yourself. And now to look at the Parsi mind. Doing abundance now. Don't blame nobody but yourself. You see, you got the Moors and these dudes still managing. They in different positions. And you see some of them boys as the great Slavs that they bring to do some of the work too. They bring in wild men to work and be soldiers and shit. And you also had your workers and your nobles and your different systems too. You see, again, you got the camel again. You see, OS Americana Camilis for my. tobacco, what they call tobacco cigar smoke statues, cigarette statues. And maybe I was trying to say the dark ones are the ones that been in Africa because they had tobacco there too. Now this one right here, this why African too. Are made to be. Or this one, that's in Brazil. Again, we don't see this. The state seal of Florida. Let's create more. Hey, always on the coastline. Foreign? Oh wow. Cause this book only talking about Virginians. I ain't just like a typical one, so they gonna act like we wrong because we calling these people Moors. But they ignorant because they think that the Indians are naked motherfucking with feathers, and they losing out in the history. Again, some of my stuff like this gonna get pushed overseas. Like this gonna get pushed overseas because these people mind state overseas somewhere. Overseas, 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 overseas. See now, that's why it's a little mixed up. You know, it's a little bit right there, Texas somewhere. Why you see that right there look like Morocco dress. So they don't know, you don't know like that. These superficial ways of knowing these things. You just know all these are Moors, and you just the ones in America. Don't let the Moors know from no other places get in your mix though. We ain't that dumb. But we ain't dumb enough to say, well, them people over there, they ain't our people. Saying that all our people is Africans and then got different customs and different nations all over this earth. We ain't gonna say that neither. We gonna say the truth. It's the Moorish Empire. And the one person who talk on this video, this one, the one in the West. I'm assuming that's the West. Because these terms don't really mean nothing. It could be East India. And that's how the East and the West India. But these dudes will show you this, like, see, this the India. All this. How we know that these brothers right here going other places and still had these styles. We already see this in Brazil. It's just North America and it's Brazil. Them boys still got the same headdress. So it's not far-fetched there'll be other places in the world too. But we're gonna steal that history if they look like this because we think that's an Indian. We're gonna live with us as, oh look, an American. So you go both ways. And like you see me on the side, the more naked he is, the more these people think they from. Oh, that's us right there. There's a whole book talking about Virginians. I made a comment again. Now you see the soldiers, they dress like what you typically call an Indian, but he fully dressed. And this right here. And again, made a comment, most likely been Muhammad. They definitely ain't gonna tell you about no goddamn Muhammad chief named Muhammad in early America. But the point, that's what they trying to hide. Anything that connect to the Moorish Empire. But they didn't know how raw and savvy we've been. We finding all the shit that they thought been Christian, not Islamic, Indian native customs. We finding all the more shit in that too. You can hide all the Islamic shit, and we still get you. The whole point is you hide the empire and they had different customs. We see again, that's supposed to be foreign, but you see turban, just like us. She making that boy pray to her idol. You see, kiss the feet. find these pictures like this all over in the Morris section. Like this. We got the crown, you see, we got the fedora. You know, what is it? And it's been commissioned under France. So you could be in the France Museum and their history books, whatever, and they'll say whatever they want, but you gotta understand France had plenty of jurisdiction in America too. Could be in America. We're gonna read some of the stuff in this. And you see, even in Asia, you see these. You got these more setting up kingdoms and everything, everywhere. And you got that musket too. That boy got like the Emperor of China shit on. That big ass rosary. See, no matter where we go in the world, we see this. See these same people, and we put it together properly. No separations, no divisiveness. One empire, broken down many nations, was broken down to many kingdoms, and broken down to many houses and families. We got the electors of the Holy Roman Empire. Still working on that series too. We show you the Moorish Holy Roman Empire, stuff like this. A lot of been us in America has seats as electors in the Holy Roman Empire. A lot of the business of the Holy Roman Empire went over here. Just like the United Nations in New York, you had the Moorish Empire with different Moors doing business in New York. At the same time, the Holy Roman Empire with different European nations, and you had different peoples in both of those settings because they've been doing all these damn marrying anyway. So at the end of the day, we're all about nationality. Who is you? When you remember who you was, then you gonna sustain your status. If you don't, then you're gonna be in the slave status. Let me see this again. You see the feather skirts. There's a overseas Chris, but got the same feather skirts on like the American dudes. So what's going on? You see Sun and Moon coats. So you got a feather crown like an American dude, right? You got that on hanging on one side, that robe hanging on one side that you see all day. And again, supposedly foreign, chopping back and forth, and through time. And so you all connected at one thing, and people trying to hide that from you for a million reasons that I'm going over a bunch. You see more malls and more, and you see the number one theme is you see they got a crown on their head. And being a crown, your fez are turban, and later fedoras and cordobas, and later 5950s. But the one thing that we know that so many more has been around with crowns on, it showed the nobility. These people, they had knowledge of that. And that's all right, but interesting because he said Indians on us. See our Amazons. See Amazonas on us. You can see that little thing tied down and hang to the side like Montezuma and them shit. You know, Moors everywhere. They try to scratch all the faces off these shit too. And that's why hey, we think France and England and Britain and all that is we think that equates with European people or white people, but that's erroneous to think. You could have read and write. So again, following the gods of Europe instead of going with the what we got down at the southern part of the got going on in the southern part of the planet, Morocco, Islam, and our practices and stuff that we go the most in the northern part of Europe of the world, which is across the whole world. But the northern side, which is northern Egypt, those Moors start falling into certain customs that all get taken from them, and they get persecuted. Right? They get run out of Europe, run back to the Garden of Eden, go back to Africa, which is the southern part of the planet. The Mediterranean is the middle. Rome is it is north of that sea, and Carthage at the bottom of that sea. Metaphysically, that always gonna be in the divine side and the wall spiritually, because they playing incantations and all type of shit down on each other. They should start playing out. Let me see in Germany. In Germany. But these empires is worldwide now. The United States still use the eagle today, like Rome, and they use the pyramid to represent the other side of the Mediterranean. Another one is soon to be America. You see, Mama America. But that's overseas though, and it'll be listed as a Moor. Like this one, Morian. That's what they know you as according to the treaties. The Moors of the Netherlands had treaties with the Moors of Venezuela. Those type of things been going on. I just using modern terms, but that been going on in the early world. And they all had their version of this term. That's why you still got them today in everybody's language, because that's what the old world been like. Now, Europeans came later as Dutchmen, and because they were already amalgamated, so they come back later with those same treaties. But again, take the Moors of the Netherlands birthright, make them Afro-Dutch, and now you ain't the original Dutch who under the treaties, because you don't know who you was. You ain't using the treaties no more. The same thing with the United States. The Americanos been Moors. Now everybody think they European settlers start calling themselves Americans, Americanos. Now people they much know what that word means no more. Another one. Inde Morian just means indigenous Moor. People who learned men know the proper terms. Unlearned man ain't don't know shit. They just talk. And if you want to know which one if they learn or not, just start asking about words. Define certain words. Define some stuff. Break down languages. 9 times out of 10 they can't do it, but they want to tell you they know who you can call or who your proper nationality, free national name and international names is. And you got that red, white, and blue. Definitely representing the American, the Moorish one, who Nam Land is. Europe, Asia, Africa, and America. And you see, Africa and America are Moors. The both continents under that empire. And a whole lot more stuff under that empire, not just the continent of Africa and the continent of America, and all the islands under that empire by law. Plenty other lands, most of Southeast Asia under, of course, North Africa, the whole continent of Africa under the Moorish Empire. But a lot of stuff that Rome claiming, the fact is that we ain't that greedy. We'll let you have the tundra, the cold ass tundra, and we'll let you have some of Europe. But then they're too greedy. And it's the same one I showed you last time, but I know they had the name Osceola, the Cimarron, or the Moor. The Cimarron is an erroneous term. But we know that term is used for Moors. Because Rome can't control them. Because they know they stole Moors. They still ain't going to, when they write about them, they still ain't going to damn be respectful and shit. They still going to try to write wherever they want to write. But that's the point. If you the point is, if you fall for those ignorance in history written by Romans, if you fall for those terms, then they got you. They can write what the hell or think what the hell they want. Our motive's gonna show them how ignorant they is and make them go back home crying. Show them how dumb they is. They don't like that. I mean, notice America got the parrot, right? The parrot is that symbol. But you see she got that same little, she got the animal thing. Animus. Got a robe. And all this in the Moorish section. And she got that Egyptian type neck thing. And no fez. Afro puffs. But she got that, that's like Egyptian ass, like Native American, quote unquote. What we perceive to be Native American. Turban, feathers, plume feathers at that, the real version. We know what that means. And that means Moroccan, which means a child of God, which means a Lord on earth. And for every plume, he the third or the fourth. I can't see how much plumes. And that's lying. Another one, saying no tobacco. This motherfucker got like he from Charleston. You see that pearl? That shit big. Robe hanging on one side. They got the tassel, representing nobility and knowledge. Yeah, one side too. One side. I keep forgetting to look for that because that show up too much. All these boys are rocking that shit all over the world. One side. One side. Oh man, right, y'all crossed it as hell. Yeah, one side too. Hanging down one side, got that big ass pearl down the middle. Man, ain't no joke when they paying him. He see these more, they had estates everywhere, all overseas, America, back and forth. That's the real script from you. And we gonna put it back together slowly but surely. We gonna put it back together in details, especially in America. We get in detail with every state. They go into the history of every state and show you the Moorish origins in your history. You're gonna get some names. And some of these people gonna match a lot of these people on your genealogy. And we're gonna investigate it. And again, we see the parrot. The parrot representing the Amazons. And the turban. We see this a lot in America. We ignore this. The same one your grandmama go to church with. It's the same turban your grandma go to church with. She not forget what that is. And she's a Moorish American, but she been to Moorish Indian school when they teach her to be Indian. Same thing the way they teach us. On Thanksgiving, we gotta make the little Indian fairs and put them on our head and all that shit. They didn't teach us the Moorish one though, as children. You have to wait till you get in high school to learn about the Moors of Spain. And they would keep them over there. So, always look for what Rome hiding. Rome got control of media. Got control of what's being learned and taught at this point. So what are all these things these people are teaching? The only thing they hide is the more shit. The only thing they want to disavow. Everybody else, they let them go speak at Rutgers and all these universities. They ain't letting us go speak there. That shit takes them. Even if we take one of our elders like Jose Pimenta B. She Jose Pimenta B. English raw, but he could do 6-7 hours and ain't say not one so-called curse word and all that other shit. He can speak that perfect English for them boy. And still wouldn't promote him like that. He make his own thing. On the other side, and that architecture back there. See, you see a lot of these dudes be acting like the Moors over there foreign ain't they people. But when they show show their greatness and what they event and give to the world, they won't claim that though. Because oh yeah, see he's a brother. He definitely look like my mother. Same complexion as my mother. That's why I don't let nobody play my mom. She the Moorish woman, the primordial, and the most praiseworthy, the Mohammedan. And she'll tell you that too. I like one of these dudes who will sign up 1,000,000 dudes online. They don't even much know to their little clubs. And the people around them don't even claim the shit and believe what they believe, but they won't try to get you to believe them though. That's another thing. See if they on my own believe them. That ain't always the case. Some people parents might be too far gone, so that ain't always the case. But I'm trying to convince strangers online. You should be able to try. You should, if you're so true and you're so right, you should be able to convince the people around you. If they don't know, because my mom thought she was black at one point, but it makes sense to her, common sense. She ain't that. And our grandmama even teach us about the Cherokee tribe to the point where she would tell us stories about princesses and stuff like that in the tribe that connect with us. So that's the nobility. Titles of nobility that get taken from us. But she ain't know about the word more. She never heard of it. But I interviewed her at the one of her last interview on tape. I interviewed her, and if you listen to that, I talked to her about how she come to the term and she don't got no origin. She don't know. That just been a term they thought they been. Just like your mama thought she been black erroneously. Your grandma been erroneous too. Rome been over here taking over before her, and your great grandmama. Which really have to bring us back in the psyche. So they've been going out the psyche around them times. So Potawatomi, Chief, Pac, like Apache, Those are titles, and like Arabic Turkish mix type language. Right. Look at us like an Arab, right? The the do rag with the tie around style, red sash around the waist like Noble Drawley, like these Moors. Another one, we can see this little type of turban in the middle of the short. I call it the short turban. They gonna see that a lot in a minute. I put this on purpose. And these more these American ones, Moorish Americans. And that's what he dressed like Queen Key. Now they always try to make Queen Key from Africa, but Queen Key dressed just like this with the robe on one side and the big ass tobacco pipe. He's like, he got a damn mongoose on him. Chippewa chief. And I think this the king of the Honduras. He dressed. The whole world is the Moorish Empire. I mean with that silliness. I'm gonna tell you, all these people in it. And you see the same little thing like the Native American. We show you the short type turbans. There's more like you'll see later. Guadalupe. Even Bruce Lee them Barlow outfits used to be Moorish outfits. They get that from the Moors. Like this one right here, more and more like this one. Guadalupe. And you see them boy definitely turban out in America. Short face. It's like the Moors who wrap the turban around the fez. They got the same type of design like this. John Rock, a colored counselor, a Moorish American, losing their nationality. And let's see, Wapela, chief of the Pocokshekso. But we see, man, got a Muslim ass turban, chewed up. You know what y'all they say? All these people are Muslims. He ain't take you through all this right here. He's been telling you to stand on something. Cause if you ain't got nothing to stand on, you're gonna fall for anything. Again, we just gotta come around and reiterate a lot of these things for you to stand on proudly and confidently amongst all the Romans, black and white Romans, telling you, disavowing you and hiding your history and trying to demonize you, the term Moor and all this other shit. And flip these other terms to shit. All this is Moorish costume we got. And you see that half hanging on the side, robe hanging on the side. She from, I think, Cherokee's tribe. I had a caption on this, but I ain't got it. Brazil, another Brazil. We notice Brazil now. I mean, I did enough research playing these games with you. Talking about a Persian rock in Brazil. And again, inside these houses all over the world, they show you things like this. See me and man with his red kid. Man, he low. He chin with his circle. Like you seen on all them boys. Only got face in this shit. They got face in hers. Face in hers. They probably reconstructed history too, and they changed. They probably been the presidents and shit, and they have to use the reconstructed version in the stories. But you see that job, you see it look like a structure back there. You see a bunch of malls back there. Parrot, of course, representing America. Red and white stripe. Definitely gonna get a better Brutus painting right here. We're assuming it's India in the east. But you see how noble these people are. All the damn elephant getting clothes with jewels in them. Whole world. Yeah, Brazil, we know now. Yeah, see that big, that shit like the Pope on his head. Tobacco. Moorish American woman. The allegory of America is a Moorish American woman because the term is a feminine term that means a Moorish princess. And she even got the one side red cape on that thing going. That's a raw ass why I want my house. Brazil, natives of Brazil, and you see they got them as Adam and Eve. And well, hell, I got the Moors and Adam and Eve and that thing in this book. The natural history. They have a commission for Mauricio of Nassau. And the native people, you see, they got as Moors. United States and Europe and England, Royal British Historical Society started to rewrite Brazilian history as these people has come from Africa, but the Dutch ain't playing. That's right, that's how it is. He's still in Brazil, got the red cape. I got his jacket as a kid, just like we see in that other one now. Man, got capped. Bounty hunter. You see Red Cape Gang. Like the Marabou. I believe this is America too, but the evidence is scantly. Can't really tell what malls could be. We worldwide. And they show you feathers. Show you different costumes everywhere. Same costumes. And again, other turban like that with the diamonds and shit going around. And his name is Azamor. You know we talk about an Azamor in America. Rio de Janeiro. Hanging on the side, robe. You know, woman, know what it does. Forget. We just forget. That's right, y'all been interesting. And I can't locate it, can't find a location, but it look like America. Like Jamaica or something like that. Ritual. That's a multitude of malls. You can see look like in the front, like the Indian, right? You see the tomahawk. feather gun. We see the bow and arrow. We see America always at the top being held it up. That's who she is, America. Moorish woman. And that's why we notice Brazil now. A lot more people coming out. Even the websites starting to label us as Brazil, the museum type sites now. When if you go back on my channel not almost 3 years old. You go back to the earlier videos, you will see that it's showing you that they were calling this Africa, Congo, and stuff like that. Now they coming around now. So I tell you, don't focus on these people. They don't know nothing. You can figure these out yourself. They'll be following you and shit. That's why I'm showing all the different stuff they find. You see apes there. They show you that Hanno the Navigator Benny. They try to make him like he been in Africa because he had skin from apes. And Brazil and Morocco, so they really thought in their mind that all Moors, people who they considered Moors, or calling themselves that, been coming from that Morocco at that time. The other side been called the Barbary. They're saying Pena paint that, so he paint all these and he paint that, he paint a bunch of stuff. And they say some people think he ain't paint all that, but they credited all the Brazilian paints to this one dude. So you can't find other Brazilian painters that don't look like a Brazilian one to our naked eye. But again, them little paintings that we got with Moors, with main mammoth floating in the air, those paintings all supposed to be in Morocco. I don't believe that. Let me see. The Mamelukes on the side. Man right there. And again, on that same picture, we got Amazons on them. Which will make sense because we see them, we determine what the stuff hanging down the side on it over there too. And it's right here, Ataliba, what I say is the boy brother. And we see on this, we see you got the one side thing going too, hanging off one side and wrap around. But that arm always hanging out, and that do-rag, just like we've been seeing. And this little stuff that we see earlier on my man knee. That little same shit right there. He about to be foreign. He had bow and arrows too. Shit. Now this 12-month calendar that we use all around the world, that the natives use in America, that the Mayan calendar science is the same as this. They are a little bit more advanced version, but it basically could be breaking down with this. But this the Carthaginian calendar, known as the Coptic calendar, which take us to Egypt. In the era of Nabonassar, which is Babylonian, adopted from the Chaldeans. So you see the whole empire. And still today we use these as the 12 months. You see Missouri and Messer. We still got a Missouri over here. I'm sure it ain't nothing too foreign in our mind. For all you know, you could have been an inventor of this, and they talking about Chaldean, but you could have talking about Western Chaldea and Babylonia and Carthage. Because stuff changed over time worldwide, not in those particular spots. When they talk about these stories, the change happened worldwide. So we see this, right? And we've been looking all over the world. One of my videos, we find this everywhere. We find this in Brazil, North America, you find us in West Africa and the Mauritius, as the Mauritius, one of the Mauritius. And now I'm about to find them in Europe. So I'll be looking at the snow this picture. More shit everywhere in this place. And then and Asia. We see in Asia too, they still dress like it ritually. This one right here, I got a turban on. So this one here is Florida. Saturia, Florida, King Saturia. I gotta tell you, all those kingdoms got king names are kingdoms, are the names of the king. So you got Saturia, you got King Utina, you got King Morocco. I got Saturia, and we know Saturia is this one right here. A depiction of Saturia like this in the Bride's book. We're gonna talk about that in a minute. You see Murat, the chief of Ethiopia, same thing, turbans, bow and arrow. You see that again, that little button down thing. Same type of thing we see worldwide. You see the thing around his waist with the tassels, curved sword, long skirt, but he got his pads on the hoods. So the chief of the Ethiopia is also a generic term and means any land of Moors. Let's see, Moors building. I'll show you your history. It consists of everything you see in the world today, all the nobility and all the intelligence. You have to get civilized by nobody. And it's the same book we looked at earlier, say Moors and Moriscos in America. And they were showing you the Indians and the ones in Grenada, which most likely been New Grenada on our side. And now they're showing you another dude. You see, they think they call him a Berber. I can't make that out. See this dude, they got that same little crown, like a little corn crown. And you can find more history everywhere, ain't hidden like they think. And you see, Moro de Barbaria, Mo from Barbary. And we got Barbary in America. And he definitely like got the same little shoe like the Mohawk. That's what I see. Just a Moro. And a Moro woman. And look like Moro of Ethiopia. Robes, turbans, same things. Same, but all of them got that waistband too. And that Grenada. Which makes sense because in the New Kingdom of Grenada over here, the Moshe tribe got the same type of custom. The turban, the hoodie over the turban under the hoodie on their head. And we see that little shit right there on his head. We see that on Montezuma and them on one side, the do-rag type thing. The Sufis, the African Indian mystic of Gujarat. You see all that red and green. The Moors all over the world. And they call them African no matter where they at though. You see that red and green, the flag, you got the turbans and shit. Wherever you at, you in the empire. Yeah, as long as you free. And you free based off knowing that's fact. You see how they together. When you together, you in Morocco. When you separated, you're wrong. You just are more in wrong. So you see the kingdom of heaven is within Morocco. But that heaven, when you perfect the heaven within love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, you be able to come together. Now it manifests as Morocco in the physical. It ain't gonna never manifest in the physical if you don't manifest in the inner, because you ain't gonna get together like this. See, more malls look like the Far East. Yeah, look like East Africa. Like you see noble customs, fine silk and everything, jewelry, everything. And again, we was kings. People who be making videos dissing us, they only dissing the Afrocentrics, and they dissing and you got the Indian League on YouTube dissing the so-called Black Indians. So both of them got outside forces pounding on them, but ain't nobody gonna mess. But they got something to say about us. But those people who mess with them ain't gonna touch us with a long stick. They ain't with that. The only thing they'll do is make videos about most who go to jail or something like that in modern times. But they ain't gonna touch that we ain't who we are. You got people telling these people, oh yeah, you ain't been no kings, you been slaves. The Afrocentric, you ain't been no kings. How about you and kings? You got people making those little video racist shit. Now YouTube don't never take down or not like that. And they straight ignorant in them videos, like talking all kind of shit about them. And about us. But then you got the Indian League. They so decadent and they ain't got no history that the United States ain't give them. So they got a video full of videos, nothing talk about themselves. Just so-called black, and they try to rebut them and try to make them from Africa. That's why they got hours and hours of that. Talk about other people. So they already lose in that sense. But they open themselves up, both of those groups open themselves up for those criticisms because of their half stories, their confusions, just because they want to disavow us truth right now, because they think we a different group. They think Moors is a group, like they got a group. When we telling them no, we telling you the history, what it is. Like this, because you get history like this all the time. With Moors, you get real history. That these people ain't gonna be sit down and dissect this video or none of them videos by Moors, because they ain't gonna do nothing but teach themselves the truth about history. You see the Grand Maestre in the Order of the Estrada de something Nasra. And you see in Africa, don't let that fool you. That's anything south of the Mediterranean, any place south of the Mediterranean at the time. But again, that's the original French. It's the real free people. And man, right there, dick out. You can see they always in fine silk. And nobles all over the world know. They know, like the ones of those who really is nobles and they dark skin, that's a Moor. I always try to tell you, Moor just means no, don't mean no goddamn black. That's what ignorant people who think, the unlearned man think that's what that means. That shit means a lord, a leader. Technically. The only problem is the fact that most of these lords been dark skinned. And they damn sure ain't gonna call themselves a lord because that word ain't exist yet. So it gotta be a word that means a lord or a leader. We speak English, so I'm using the English version of that term, lord or mister. and muscles. MR. So it's like this. Maestro. That's another term. Maestre. All those terms come from MR, which means Lord. And when we got our mind right as a whole, that's a multitude or more. That's the land of God, because all the intelligent people ain't no class system where we got these group of Moors under us, the native blacks, and we got no. That's how Morocco is. The fake Morocco might be like that, but not the metaphysical one. It always when we got our mind right together. Any other way, that's wrong. In disguise, that's Morocco. Like those, like you see, pen and paper. You writing things. You dealing with world trade, writing treaties, writing woes, proclamations, deeds, land titles, and all kind of different things. I can go into the Latin and start naming stuff that we ain't even heard, but no need to here. But again, we see the slavery myth, Queen Valhalla, Renita El Harebe. So again, now these people who got something to say about Moors, these people that put in this title, or nobody got nothing to say about us that we ain't already nothing to say. Right? We boy Danish Galloway. People think he the first person to come out with the slave story ain't been told wrong. It's laughable to us. Because we ain't even know who this guy been. This guy probably been in middle school when we've been already talking about stuff like this on the internet, because we can go back again to Noble Drew Ali. Ain't not us been born. We already been talking about everything these dudes talking about. Every one of their group already been mentioned in the Circle 7. Because that's the Moorish Empire. It's taking one piece and try to make it like that's the empire. You coming after what we talking about. You ain't coming before us. We already done put that thing down. And the slave must not break that down. So he got all these videos talking about that, and he late. So how he could tell you about some Moors? See that 14 years ago. And then the person who uploaded this should probably upload up after that. So it might be longer than 14 years. On YouTube. On VHS, we had to, these should look like VHS tapes. She also got a video on YouTube, and the name of that title of that lecture is "This Is My Land," and that one say 14 years, right? Not one black Indian been around. The ones who been around but calling themselves Moorish Americans, and they had war bonnets, feathers and turbans back then. And these new dudes who ain't know nothing come around trying to tell people what it is, and then get mad when we start destroying their whole thing. But ain't that we destroying what they got going on? We just destroying their little crowd and them. We know plenty Moorish Americans who go with the term, as I tell you in the last video or early in this video, as a lot of them use American Indian. They go get that form, take off American Indian, and they name such and such L. So, and that's what that problem is. They can't get that name, our name out their mouth. And just like any other nation, if you say something about them, they're gonna say something back. And that This Is My Land video so old, people later call Native Americans, not them black Indians, the other ones, the one the United States recognize and give to the world. They start making songs and t-shirts with "This Is My Land" on them. So they ain't even know what the hell been going on about proclaiming and all this shit until they see us doing that shit. Slow ass niggas. They got a brother on YouTube. I just seen he got one video, so he's probably starting. His first video, alright. He just had a slight misunderstanding on the term more. But he can't get around it, just like nobody else gonna get around it. Everywhere you look, you gonna find that term in everybody's language in every library. But these idiots on YouTube who think they can tell you what that is got brothers like him confused. These young brothers ain't dumb though. He going to look it up and they comment and give him some insight. But for the most part, his video been good, great. Like we ain't tripping. We know that people gonna see it in certain perspectives. And on this one, you talk about Saturia, like we saw earlier. And in his book, he said basically they calling him more, but he believed that they was just calling him that because of his complexion. But I've been telling him if you think about it, when he looked us up everywhere else, they calling him native or Indian. So he know all those terms and dang, he don't much know. If you listen to him, he don't really know what to call us, what our name is. But he get close. I haven't said, if you think about it, you just finished saying the person who write this book is very credible. He got a lot of intelligence, and we should take heed. Well, if he calling a Moor, and he's an intelligent person, then most likely he using the proper term. Only the idiot's gonna say an African or black. So you really help yourself by understanding that. Well, look for the intelligent stuff and see what these people saying. And you will know by the book and by the research and how the people talk if they got some kind of sense or they ignorant. You will read a bunch of ignorant books and everybody gonna be African and black. So tell somebody you don't really know. So that's another version of it. But we find this everywhere because it's a custom that was spread throughout the empire at one time. Especially that big down their chest. That's like an ancient Canaanite. And then he break down, which I already had a feeling, but he find out in this book that the person who draw these, I know we see these everywhere, he get this from another artist and he redraw all of these. So most likely the Saturia in the book, the statue showing us him looking like this, but the artist already make all these paintings, and these the paintings on the internet that they always say that the first paintings of early America, Florida, North America, and they look like this. No damn well ain't nobody got this complexion in real life, so they playing games as if they ain't got no color. And in ancient world, they already using colors and paint, so nobody can see the original thing. He give it a name of the original person, but they don't got no artwork from them online. This person take all that person artwork, the bride, and did it and redid it. So you got a lot of this all out look like this. I show a lot of these look like this, got that same color where everybody just one color, everything one color like a black and white. So they make it black and white because they racism and even stealing emotion by it. So you can't bet a bunch of people with this complexion. Even though he not connect, this book talk about Saturia, a Florida king of a kingdom in the south, because all that been called La Florida, from Florida to Texas. But Saturia had a kingdom. He been in modern Florida, I think, Saturia. And this right here also talk about Saturia. So he putting two and two together, so the research. About an hour. I'm gonna put the link in the description. And he show you that Saturia right there with the same little stuff on. He put two to two together using his own brand. He said, yeah, it's gotta be, I guess, look how you dress. But on these, you can see that the men and people look deformed as hell. No boy don't look like that. So you know they playing games with you. And again, you find stuff like this all over in America. They foreign too. All kind of aspects of yourself. And a way you can find out history is putting together your empire But if they disavow you from that, then they leaving you up to them, for they can teach you everything. Instead of you being like my man and going to do what Moors do. We love knowledge. We go look. We read books. Don't rely on nobody to tell you. And these right here too. We see all over as Blackamoor statues. All they doing is they never take off the Moor and keep the black. And that's what we call these people all over the world. Oh, that's black Australia. That's black Italians. Oh, he from Italy, but he black. Nope. You're dealing with the Moorish Empire. Al-Qarabi means the West. The West of what? The Western Hemisphere, maybe? And then all yours is one eye, and that becomes Caribe. For all we know, Caribe could have been Carterby, the West, right? Because Caribbean is in the West. Oh shit! And another video I found on YouTube. This video been like a couple years old though, but it got some good stuff on it. I ain't fine, but somebody fine. Who else post that? PNF post that. But you see El Dorado. You see El Dorado, a big Moor with a turban on, or short face. But we know who El Dorado really is. You see, the Sharif Hameti undertook the conquest of Guinea, surpassing the Sus newly acquired territory, poorly known in Castile, and you're talking about America, will be Pedro Venegas embarked in Azabor after a prolonged embassy in Morocco, who warned that it was a land of a lot of gold. So she put that in quote again because the Morocco that we know of today is not a land of gold. Ghana is on the other side, but also Brazil. Lamina tried to hinder the unpleasant loss of a good that belonged to it because it was attached to the crown of Portugal, right? And Portugal and Brazil had dealings. Austria managed to lose 5 Portuguese places in one go, including Santa Cruz and Safi. And that because the Moors been taking them. Even theirs anyway. But at taking the castle du Wall. So as a result, Hamete was known as what? El Dorado. So the Sultan Hamete, because the Sharifs of Morocco, and also was the Sultans. That's what we call Sultan in history. And he was born in Venezuela, and the author of some elegies which summarize past president of New Andalusia. Juan Castellano had the opportunity to stumble upon Muslims. So El Dorado is in South America. And we got, and he been the only one, but he been Sharifs, who been the gold man, the man with gold, El Dorado. That's what I mean. And the El Dorado on the western part, Colombia to Venezuela, to Guyana, been the king of Fez. And he got the other El Dorado, been the one from Brazil, from Guyana to Brazil, which is the king of Morocco. And a lot of times you have one ruler, but sometimes you have the king of Morocco and the king of Fez at the same time, split. They show some more books in there. You see this one with the Fez on. That's like a tassel on that thing too. It's the gold of El Dorado from that book. And you see 4 lips, nose, and all that type of shit. And they got a sharp Fez on too, with the tie, with the 2 knots tie, like we see in the North America natives, right? Yeah, I'll read on the side. Colombia. And show us in there. They show how them boys showing you the complexion on this chart. They showing the complexion of these people who this gold belong to. And again, all of us in North America, because of that river, a lot of the slaves get a lot of captures, captives, and they get captured in Africa from these walls. Africa is below. They bring up the Magdalena, right here, out into these ports to get shipped into the Spanish territories of America and Seville, and probably over the other side over here, where the Spanish ports they had somewhere over here. But a lot of that you end up in South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, and vice versa. Basically, most been going down there back and forth, but on our own accords. But you can't hide the fact that people got so much stories about them being from Africa or from that tragedy. But what we're telling you is that we ain't denying that, but with the record showing that the Magdalena River, Rio Hacha stop off port before they baptize you, send you out, stop off ports. We got these in stories. So they be shipping them, and they tell us where they shipping them. And Spain territories as the islands, some of the islands, the Florida, which is this whole area we see on the screen, really. And New Spain, which was all Moorish peoples. They just wrap up in spiritual jurisdictions. One plantation right there, Spain would have draw all us and act like them in Spain, some kind of jurisdiction. It's got one plantation right there. You see what I'm saying? Collected from. They have ports. The jurisdiction come in our mind because they make maps. It's like United States. They're sitting on top of the Moorish states, the Al-Moroccan states, and they draw maps and borders, and they operate it like that from DC. And you can do the same thing. You can draw a whole map of us, and all these names can be different, and we can use that, and it'll be there. Romso, they steal so much from Moors. Give us 50 years, our map will be being taught in school. People will be calling the places where we've been calling them. And act like they want who come out with the terms after like 300 years if we ain't careful. But everything we do, they're gonna follow. But we just gotta do those things in solidarity. We ain't going to Philadelphia no more. We going to Morocco. And if all us going in and calling it there, eventually the state gonna change the name because you is the state, the people of the state. But let's continue. Trying to hurry up and get through this because all is just miscellaneous stuff. We investigating and we ain't dealing with a certain subject. Let's gonna deal with these people who got something to say about more. It's a better look. Let me see, Mina, like Brazil, right? El Mina, La Mina. You see that? Same type of area. You see that on the natives that we were looking at earlier in the nose. Where it's from. That's from this. I think it's a poem. Let's continue. So the Thibaw League somewhere around 1480. 1480 now. So they had to civilize the Africans and the natives. 1492. They had to the mighty European civilized man who know how to read and write and all this thing. He been the one who had to civilize the savage Africans, right? In her story. And the savage Indians. By 1480, it would look like you need to be civilized. And again, Germany is just a jurisdiction. Talking about worldwide. So you'll see a lot of things under Germany that ain't really in what we call Germany. Even in America, you see all Ben Franklin shit is written from Paris. He ain't never probably even been over there. You're dealing with French, Paris, England, all that jurisdictions, Morocco. And you see this one is Nuremberg. You see Mars in there. 1460. Sabo of Libya. Libya, that's another term for Africa. And this one, you see, he got the horn or shit too. Stopping out with that, we gotta do some more looking to that. He got that thing looking like a chalice, but that's the horn that we be looking at through the videos. And Sister Aja, Trevor Note. Somewhere on the walls in Europe. This one here, very, very interesting. It look like, why he looking at that? While you look now, he look like he about to paint that. I paint a portrait. You see with them big turbans too, with the pearls and the jewels. And all little stuff like that. We see that with England, right? The little wave coming down like that. That's North Egypt. Because this Egyptian got the same type of little hairband that come down over their shoulders and stuff like that. That wig is a crown. And you see that all over England to this day. You see them wearing that. Alright, look at that. That's North Egypt. Parts of North America and Canada will be included in North Egypt. We Northwest, I make some. We is the Northwest version of that. Let me see. One more with robes and turbans. And you got that little headband hanging down from hers like the American one, right? This one a good one too, but people think this one is African because of the line, but you don't know. And they put things in there just for allegorical reasons too. You see back there, you see a multitude. Almost like that white man ain't got no shirt on and shit. This one right here got a head. Big ass sword. Castles in the back, shit. And our TPs, and the TP story is still, and that also started from Moors. We just be doing that so they can get an understanding of either you advanced or you primitive and have to be civilized by some foreign fuckers. That's why we use that. But even that, Moses set up camp. They go to war, whatever they're doing, they set up camp. And these TPs, they are not to do that. They used to live in the motherfucker. Let's see, these things show up. Let me see, you got the feather dress. Feather dress too. If that's supposed to be an American thing, there you go. Because crown he hold in his hand, interesting too, like the King of Fairs crown, slightly different. Like we were saying about the language, the Arabic, the script is foreign to you, not the language. They call languages like this Indian languages on the outside. Lost Indian languages. No. That's Moorish Latin, you see. Tula, Tula. We say Toledo in our English tongue. These are not new languages. The language on our side ain't new. They tell you because they got all these letters in them. See, this is a script. That's a script down there at the bottom. That's the Arabic script. That may be foreign to us. And that comes from the ancient Phoenician changing form over time. The script above that we see Toledo and we see Ta, Wa'if, all those letters is Latin script. Those our script. So all the Indians, they ain't got no goddamn script. Like the Arabic script. They ain't got no script that we can read. They're using the Latin script. All those tribes. And then they want to say, oh, well, we had written. Well, you've been slow. That ain't us. Like, you had no pen and paper, nigga, in the 1400s. Everybody had pen and paper at that time, nigga. But, the languages, when you see the dudes on YouTube, on Facebook, the pale skinned dudes who think they're the native and think you African because your skin dark, their names be a bunch of these letters all together, and they try to act like they got a language with it. Well, your language have you so much of native. And language is the language we speaking to each other in. Again, the ignorant ain't gonna know these things, so don't fall for it. See, Saragusa. We still using these terms. They're saying things differently. This is the ancient Moorish Latin. Tula. Toledo is the later version. On outside, you see again stuff like El Congo. You see Toledo got that O at the end. El Congo. All those terms used to be us in Latin. And then this one is a little different than the classical Latin because it's more of a Western version. You see, I say Hispania, not Spain. Spain is not a Latin term. Hispania is a Latin term. They translate them, and then now you say Hispania without the H. H is silent. Then just Spain. They got from Hispan, the Carthaginian, who been known as Lord of the North. So we see again, they consider her a Moroccan or more because of our mind frame. But the system, you see her look like this all over America, showing you the land of Moses, everywhere she at, and know who she is. Definitely a noble. All these jewels and crystals and that fine silk thing under that blue, and that right there again, Mexico. The Hidalgos had those same type of shit on. The Fidalgos. Alfonso El Sabio, conversion of a black man to Christianity. So you see how he work. The person who write this website write this title, the conversion of a black man to Christianity. You say, well, where he get the title? He get it from the records, and what the records say, 1280s, long ass time. It say converting a Moor to Christianity, not black man. So you see how stuff changed. You see W. Du Bois, black in Western art, you see, and the Institution of African and African American Research. So you got a lot of reconstruction, even by your own, not on purpose, some on purpose, but out of ignorance. He about to be a black man now. After this, he about to be a black man on us. Not from a Moor to a black man, not from a black man to a Christian. Christians, Moors who are Christian, call themselves black, right? And African, right? African Methodists. They converted. This is somewhere around 945. We see Moors. You in the history. I don't know about these other people. Castilian Moralia. And here we know Albert Eacout. He said it's Dom Miguel de Castro, ambassador from Congo to Dutch Brazil, which they confuse, because the Congo they talk about is what Dutch been calling the Morocco at that time in Brazil. These the Moors of Dutch dealing with Mulicidum in Brazil, but since people don't know about Morocco being in Brazil, the confusion come out like this, and they call them ambassadors of Congo. I always use that word every time they see a noble Moor dress. They are any Christian like or European like, they bring it from Congo. Congo just means the wilderness. So that's show you right there. It could be anywhere when they say things like that. And you know how big the Congo is. That is the whole middle part of Africa. Where at in Africa? They don't give you those details playing games with you. A wilderness. So I show you El Congo everywhere over here because they talk about wilderness. And he try to justify why he said that in the website, which I did the research yet until who is, I believe, in Mauricio de Nassau, because he the big dog in the story, and the big dog would be the one who get the portrait, the king. But he ain't been a king, he just been a noble, he been a duke, he been a marquis. So you know you can see that in this dude is a marquis, a duke of some kind. Not just an ambassador. They always will make you the ambassador as if you, the king that you the ambassador of, is a different person. Well, what his portrait at? Show me all of the ambassadors where the king of Congo's that the ambassador attached to. But they say this person here attached to your girl, Jenga Nzinga Bandi. Percent by having the 1600s, because they try to connect that Congo with this one. When basically the Dutch West Indian Company, you don't see nothing mentioned about no Congo. You see the Dutch African Royal Company dealing with Africa. You see the Dutch West Indian Company dealing with Brazil and the West and the Moors on this side. But they gonna tell you that you had ambassadors and stuff and queens and kings, so they gotta send you overseas somewhere and mix the stories. And say she sent the ambassador to Dutch and Brazil, so wiping out the actual nobles of Brazil as if Dutch run anything. The Dutch been under jurisdiction, they've been subject under Morocco. So she ain't sending no ambassador to any Dutch in Brazil. She can send them to the Dutch in Netherlands where they sovereign at, not in Brazil. She'll be sending ambassadors to the King of Morocco. And what she did, the King of Morocco also got treaties and stuff with the Congo, with trade and thing. But he been dealing with trade for the Dutch West Indian Company, Netherlands. We're going to look deeper into this in our Moorish Holy Roman Empire series. We're going to see who these Moors dress in these European things, because they want always try to make these Moors foreign. A European Moor who beat us up. Sound like a pump. Everybody beat you up. A lot of these Moors been from Europe by way of North America right? Which was England, France, and all these other German, all these other European names over here. And then I got a story for him. No. There's some more stuff they've been researching, somebody else researching about a mysterious embassy. Say mysterious because they've confused her probable brother, sovereign of the Kingdom of Congo, in the 1940s to the so-called Dutch Brazil. 1940s. A fact, incidentally, and among others, solemnly ignored by Brazil historiography. For those reasons above, yeah, a lot of hidden stuff. You say Colombo de Palmeiras, they hide all those boys' history. Might be talking about marriage, I think. And you see 6 painters brought by Maurice de Nassau. And why wouldn't he have a painting? Rekife, yep. And you got number 1. So all these Brazil though now. You not figure that part out, all these Brazil. And written all over the internet as other places, especially this one. She written as a European more and shit. They can't really hide her because her story is clear. Brazilian noble. These ones now getting put out as Brazil. This one right here, they always want to Afro hum. Afrocentrics don't like this one. They keep wanting to try to write stupid stuff about that. Try to justify her being that dark and not look like a slave, a warrior in Brazil. They'll go as far as says he ran away from his masters and lived as a warrior by himself, I guess. And her too. Been playing those. And all these kings had names like John the First. They ain't nothing different. Jungle John. Yeah, because Congo means jungle. We ain't got no. It's not a name of a place. The people in the Zenga Mbemba ain't call it Congo. The fortress of Ajuda. Remember we had on the map, we find Ajuda on near Colombia. I can show you another one. Off the coast of Brazil. Just like Congo off the coast. So you continue to start right there. We get into the United States more in the next one. But again, you see, how they dress. That same old long skirt type of shit. And he got that horn too, ain't it? We're gonna talk about these events, as Moles would tell you what happened with these events. All these. And my stories are the truth about the United States of America. Let's see, Yazoo, these little treaties and stuff that they try to make states and all type of stuff. A lot of stories happen in the background that we don't know about. And get into these thieves. You see, they still showing you how they've been robbing you. Moorish lands. Let me see. And so-called Indians too. Getting ready to attack Moorish lands in the west. When they get off the colony and manifest destiny, start changing your names. Now the west declared vacant because ain't no Moors there, so ain't nobody there. Regardless of what they call this, though, if ain't more, we got them. And be declared vacant in law because they ain't wrapped up in no treaties nowhere in the world with these names they be using. You see, getting ready. You see. In the sports, they show you that this right here, when they running through the field like this, they showing you this. Stealing lands. The European settlers. Oklahoma land rush, the first one. 2 settlers. A lot of illegal stuff. And we're going to point them out. They won't point fingers. We're going to show them. Remember who the first class citizen is, who the true citizen is. Because I know when settlers, I remember when they declared their nationality, became American proper. Look at that, Russian that motherfucker. So yeah, we can read this instant law, dealing with law, what happened. Euro-American, Moorish Americans. So peace till next time. It will be the beginning of the next series, The Truth About the United States of America. Since everybody want to point fingers at everybody else that look like them, instead of the people who they calling the oppressors. So I'll do it. I'll go right into their history and show you how they lying and stealing and cheating. So peace till next time.